One of the cars that we're working on right now is going to feel a little bit like deja vu to you at home because it's a 1971 Cuda GB5 Blue, just like the Phoenix Cuda. But it's different. This is a nice little car. It was a factory 383, automatic on the floor, console, buckets, leather interior, rally instrument cluster, just a really good car to start with. This car is numbers matching engine, but not numbers matching transmission, which is a lot smaller of a detail than the numbers matching engine. We do have a date coded one for it, ready to go in. But overall, a really great starting point. One of the things about this car is it sat for a long time, I believe, in a very, very cold part of the United States. So cold that it freezes there. Now, Tony and I talked about this not long ago about preserving a car and storing it correctly. This is another example of something that didn't get stored correctly because while it was in that freezing weather, it didn't have antifreeze in it. So the block, we have discovered, is broken. So what happened to the block was it was stored in a way that allowed water to get into the cylinder, so that's bad. That'll mean that we're going to end up having to bore it over quite a bit, maybe even put a sleeve in it. But that's okay, we've done that before many times. What isn't good about the way it was stored was it was stored with no antifreeze in it. Typically speaking, when you come up with a broken block as a result of a freeze crack, unless it's some minor little hairline crack, that's the end of the engine. These areas are provisions that the manufacturer put into the block so when something stupid happens, if it gets way too hot or way too cold and the water either boils and expands or it freezes and it expands, it should kick out these freeze plugs, soft plugs. In this case, it didn't kick them out. When the water froze, it expanded, and when it expanded, it pushed that cast iron block out. You can see that there's a pucker to it. It did the exact same thing on this side. You can see that water got in there. This side's much worse. This side you can actually see how far it's busted up out of the way. So these two areas here are the areas that got broken. Historically speaking, that's the end of that block. But we want to try something different on this. I've got a company that I've been sending stuff to do some small cast iron welding. I told them about this one. They're willing to take it on. I wanted you, the viewers, to see what is involved in it, and you'll ride right along to see if it actually works or not. If this does work and the engine's able to run and hold water, not overheat, and have oil pressure, if all the things function after this shop is done with this engine, he will be able to maintain the original numbers matching engine in a 71 Cuda. Numbers matching means that the engine and transmission started life on the assembly line in that car, and they have the vehicle identification number stamped into them that matches the car. These are the cars that are called pure cars, no excuse cars. These are the cars that will sell for the most amount of money and in the shortest period of time because they are a no excuses car. So a good example of that is the big dollar 71 Hemi Cuda that sold at the Mecum auction a few years ago for $3.5 million. The reason that sold for $3.5 million wasn't just that it was a 71 Hemi Cuda convertible. They made 11 of them, and some of those have sold for a lot less money than that. This one sold because everything was right about it. Original engine, original transmission, no excuses, good colors, and it was a 4-speed. Those are all the things that drive this market. So that's why numbers matching and preserving a numbers matching engine is so important.